and welcome back to the Hot Lap, our last show until we see action at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Yes, the wait is finally over. By this time tomorrow, we'll have an idea maybe of who is looking good for Las Vegas. Let's be honest, with all those new liveries and the drivers and the pre-show we saw today, everyone's looking good. But let's get into the headlines. As you can see here, the headlines: like a clown. Yes, Max Verstappen has basically compared himself to a clown on that opening ceremony, saying it's pretty much 99% glitz, glamour, show business, 1% about the racing. However, his compatriot and 2021 rival, hopes to be 2024 rival, Lewis Hamilton, thinks slightly differently and completely understands the showbiz. Bearing in mind, it is Las Vegas. But moving on from that, yep, no rainbows here at Las Vegas for the races. Colours are banned. What colours? Well, let's have a quick preview here. We are looking at the colours red, yellow and blue. Next up, we've got jet lag finally hitting those drivers. Imagine travelling all around the world for all these amazing races, and this being the penultimate one, different time zones. Is jet lag finally catching up with the F1 drivers? Sky are predicting an unpredictable weekend which could jeopardise Red Bull's not perfect but near perfect record for the 2023 season. I mean, we have cold tyres, we have a new track. Could there be red flags aplenty? All these things, what could be a crazy race. Put them all together. Last but not least, Deadpool loves Ocon's F1 helmet. I had to add a word to that, otherwise, yeah. Anyway, all that and more on the show. So let's get into like a clown. Yes, Verstappen, this is from motorsport.com, says he felt like a clown at the glitzy Las Vegas F1 opening ceremony. He's voiced his disapproval of the showbiz element of Formula One's Las Vegas Grand Prix, kind of like the pre-show opening ceremony, noting that he felt like a clown at Wednesday's opening ceremony. There are pictures there of the F1 drivers. So, along with the drone show and musical performance, the event including a section in which the drivers emerged from giant boxes on the pit straight and were introduced to the crowd. Quite a cool moment. Not other races do it, fairly unique, but Verstappen, who also opted to miss a later VIP event at the Wynn Hotel complex that Stefano Domenicali asked all drivers to attend, because if you remember, Formula One, F1, Liberty Media is the promoting body for this. They're kind of promoting their own race. So Verstappen said, "For me, you can skip all these things," he said about the opening ceremony. "It's not about the singer. It's just standing up there. You look like a clown." Asked to what degree, he said 99% show, 1% sporting event. So the triple world champion, he continued saying, "Not a lot of emotions, to be honest. I just like to always focus on the performance side of things. I don't like all the things around it anyway. I know, of course, in some places they are part of it, but let's say it's not in my interest." And as a result, Verstappen indicated that he is not looking forward to the event. The first stage, as we know, in 1982. He says, "No, I'm looking forward to try to do the best I can, but I'm not looking forward to the show." However, he acknowledged Liberty Media is keen to make an impact in Las Vegas and fully understood its desire to maximise that show element. I mean, what do you guys think? Is he being a bit petty, or is he, as some people like, being really honest about how he feels about the Las Vegas promotion, how he feels about show business, maybe interrupting the event, that F1, the race, should be the event itself and everything secondary? I kind of get what he's saying, albeit I do think when you go to somewhere like this, there's an understanding. The first race, Las Vegas, they want to make it really epic and big. They, excuse me, they know they failed back in the 80s, didn't they? And they want to make a really, really big deal out of it. So do you think, okay, stomach it, it's best for the sport, you won't be complaining when you win, who knows? But what I will say is fair play to Max, though, speaking his mind. And I think that's brilliant that Red Bull and F1 and everything allow drivers to do that. And he is he is the world champion. He's the 3-time world champion. Why not speak his mind? But also speaking his mind is Lewis Hamilton. Yep, so he's defending. So Lewis Hamilton, he is defending the US strategy as Verstappen rubbishes the show. This is from racefans.net by Keith Collentine and Claire Cottingham. F1 drivers, they've reacted differently, as we know, to their first experience of the series, this first race in Las Vegas. Verstappen, who clinched his 3rd title not that long ago, let's be fair, as said, as we know, 99% show, 1% sporting event. And an hour earlier, they were climbing out of boxes, and Verstappen has basically said he felt a bit like a clown. Another quote here from Verstappen. So it's not up to me, but I'm also not going to fake it. I just always voice my opinion on positive and negative things. That's just who I am. I mean, fair play to Max Verstappen, absolutely. He says some people like the show a bit more. I don't like it at all. Yep, he's made it quite clear. He stressed he fully understands the business case. So I think, once again, he's absolutely speaking his mind. For others, though, like Fernando Alonso, the fact F1 has taken the rare step of investing in and promoting its own race justifies it being treated different. He said, I think places like this one and the investment that has been done and the place that we are racing, I think, deserves a little bit different treatment and a little bit of extra show like what we did today, he said. I'm okay to do extra for these type of events. I think he's very level-headed there. Verstappen's 2021 championship rival, Hamilton, he's also strongly advocated expanding F1's presence in America. We've got 3 races now. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, why? Why do we have so many races in America? America is a massive, massive place. And I don't have a problem with having more than 1 race. Some people have suggested that 3 is a bit extreme, but I guess let's see how it goes. Maybe the perfect number's 2 going forward at some point. I do feel, though, COTA absolutely has to stay because that is a F1 circuit. But anyway, moving on. So Lewis Hamilton, he strongly advocated expanding their F1's presence in America as well as other countries. He is, as we know, co-producing a movie about F1, which was supposed to film scenes at the race this weekend. And he said he supports Dominicali's strategy to grow its popularity by bringing it to cities a la Las Vegas. He said, I hear there's a lot of people complaining about the direction that Stefano and Liberty have been going, but I think they've done they're doing an amazing job, he said. The sport is growing massively. It's going to grow once more when we get this movie out. He went on to say, I'm on to Stefano because I really want to get the race in South Africa or in Africa. So if it's not South Africa, it will be somewhere else, hopefully, because we're on all the other continents. So F1 currently not. They have had a race in South Africa, but not recently. And he expects many major figures from the American entertainment industry to appear the Saturday night race. He said, everybody I know in Hollywood is coming. There's a lot of high net worth people coming. There's going to be a lot of business going on this weekend and hopefully a good spectacle for people to watch. Even for those back home who maybe have never been to Vegas, they'll still get to see what Vegas is about. So, yeah, I mean, fair enough. In differing opinions, all I think, if you're honest with yourself, completely understandable from where they're coming from. Where do you sit? Let us know. I kind of sit somewhere in the middle. So we've got, as my phone dings, sorry about that. So we've got Formula One has banned, the sphere there, it's banned colours, red, yellow and blue from appearing on the sphere to stop drivers being distracted in Las Vegas. Formula One drivers have often had off-track distractions to deal with, as we know, whether they be TV screens or that 900-year-old castle in Baku that Leclerc's not a massive fan of. But Las Vegas poses a different challenge with, as we know, a 366-foot tall ball, basically, of LED parked right next to the edge of the circuit. I mean, there it is on the sky thing showing the Mercedes logo. So it limits its colour usage, and even before F1 touchdown, the sphere became a subject of discussion, considering it is usually used for hosting concerts or big projections of emojis. Now, for a driver, it'd be very distressing to have such bright images so close on the circuit, but Formula One has sought to ease that problem by preventing certain colours. Red, yellow and blue will not be displayed on the sphere, which is made up of, 1.2 2 million LED lights. And these 3 colours have been chosen as they are used on the LED trackside panels to provide information regarding the circuit conditions during a race. Red, obviously, denotes return to the pits and a red flag. Yellow, a potential hazard. While blue signals a quicker car. Blue flags for lapping. And as for what the drivers think, Danny Ricciardo said he wasn't concerned. He said, "It's very obvious, it's huge, we're not going to miss it," he said, but truthfully, when you get in that kind of a rhythm and in that zone, you're aware of everything, but you don't really notice it. I got to my hotel yesterday, and it was only this morning I noticed these massive pieces of art on the wall. I didn't even see them because yesterday I went straight to the room, straight to bed. My attention and my focus was there, so I wasn't even aware of the other things in the room, so it's a bit like that. But what could also be affecting the drivers is the jet lag. Yeah, is the jet lag hitting the drivers? This is WTF1.com. And they're saying it's fair to say it's been a hectic few weeks in the F1 world. Hell, they've even mentioned they're tired. Poor guys. Off the back of a triple header, which we've recently had, we're now in Vegas for the penultimate round of the season. And as we know, jet lag isn't uncommon for drivers. They often have to travel to places with massive time zone shifts all the time. It's kind of like going on holiday, but not, I guess. From Australia to America to Europe, it must have an effect, especially at the end of what has been one of the busiest F1 years. So they basically said it's in relation to the Las Vegas time zone is 8-9 hours back from your standard European time zones. The late scheduling of the Grand Prix made it a bit more tricky to navigate, and it shares similarities with how the teams tackle Singapore. When they travel out there, they stay on European time and can give in to the jet lag because of the late timing of the Grand Prix, but they can't do that in Vegas. So drivers are trying to shift their body clocks, going to sleep around 3-4, sleeping through the day and getting to the track around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, just before dinner or your dinner time. George Russell told the media, including the race, that the disruptions to his sleep have been having physical effect on his body. He said, "My heart rate during a night sleep is on average 25% higher than it would be when I'm in a consistent location. So whenever I'm in, I spend 2 weeks in one location this summer, which is the longest I've been 3 years in one place. My heart rate was the lowest it's ever been. Then, as soon as you travel, definitely sleeping less, recovering less, which is all natural when you're jumping around." Kevin Magnussen also said that he feels like I've been jet lagged for a month and a half. That's unfortunate, isn't it? And he's struggling to get to sleep. By the time he finished media day, he would have been awake for 24 hours. That's quite busy, especially when you've got a busy weekend coming up. 3 practice sessions, a qualifying session and a race. So the drivers in the press conference had similar complaints. Paris said, "I'm finding it a bit crazy to stay awake so long at night. It's quite a challenge actually to stay awake for so long. Science has found ways though of dealing with the long tiresome days. Once comes Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Caffeine shots, espressos or adrenaline that is needed to drive an F1 car normally removes the jet lag." And even Oscar Piastri said driving an F1 car at 350 kilometers per hour between walls usually keeps you awake. Yeah, I imagine that probably does. Now, in terms of scheduling, Verstappen said it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So after Las Vegas, we then fly to Abu Dhabi. There's already 12 hours difference. He went, "I don't really get that." He continued, "This is very tiring. Also, the end of the season that we have to do this. All this talk about sleep is making us tired." But there we go. Poor drivers. 20 of them in the world. It sucks, but you're there to do a job, and I have maybe a little bit of sympathy, but not that much, really, because how many people would love to be in their position at Las Vegas? I'm not denying it's really, really tough work. I couldn't drive an F1 car that fast, but there we go. So Sky, on Sky, we've got Las Vegas, but it's basically saying Verstappen and Red Bull face this unpredictability of Las Vegas with the cold weather and the fact that it is a new race. They could, it's a good chance. It's probably the best chance between now and Abu Dhabi, the last 2 races, that they may not win and someone else can. And it says Verstappen and Red Bull will be looking for a jackpot when it looks at Las Vegas. I see what they did there. Very good. Now, on this new track and unusual conditions, it could change the pecking order. So, amid the glitz and glamour in Las Vegas, it says there is a Grand Prix to be won. And you're probably thinking it's going to be another Verstappen Red Bull victory. I think most people are. They say, well, think again. New tracks in F1 are always a head scratcher for teams and engineers because they can't rely on past data. Vegas, being a street circuit, makes the track hard to learn for the drivers because one mistake and you're in that wall. Now, Verstappen comes into the weekend looking to equal Vettel's 53 career wins, which would put him joint third on the all-time drivers list, but behind Schumacher and Lewis. And his confidence will be high as the Las Vegas Stratosphere Tower, it said. But even he will have some big obstacles to overcome. Potentially the coldest race ever, it says. Us Brits like to talk about the weather when it comes to small talk. As excited as everyone is about Las Vegas, most people won't be too happy about the potential, and it is potential, single-digit temperatures at night. This is all we've been talking about this week. Now, in the day, temperatures will be around 20 Celsius, but this will drop to 8 to 10 at night when practice qualifying in the race takes place. The coldest F1 race ever was the 1978 Canadian Grand Prix, when it was 5 Celsius, recorded in Montreal, and it's no surprise to see Pirelli has brought the softest tyre compounds. Motorsport fans will know that one of the challenges of the famous Le Mans race is the tyre cool down on the long straights, something that will be a problem in Vegas because we've got that 1.1 mile or 1.9 kilometre long straight flat out section. No event this year has seen temperatures anywhere near what's forecast for Vegas, so the teams can fire up the tyre. So any teams, it said, that can fire up the tyres quick, like we see sometimes in the rain, are going to have a massive advantage. It'll just depend on exactly how cold it is, said Andrew Shovelin from Mercedes. He said, if the track is down in single figures, that's often a region where you go winter testing. You do a run, it's very difficult for the tyres to either get them switched on or there may be graining and things. And then sometimes you just wait until it warms up a bit. You just try and identify the risks with the new circuit, he said, and work out what your contingencies will be and whether you need any specific car spec. But as I said, if it's very cold at the end of predictions, it's difficult to know how the tyres are going to work. So, will a Red Bull weakness be exposed, they ask. And as we know, Red Bull's openly got things wrong in Singapore, the only event they failed to win. Vegas is at another extreme end of the spectrum, and cold tyres and not many corners. Now, one of the strengths of the Red Bull this year, as we know, is that awesome tyre wear they have, or lack of. I mean, when we looked at Brazil, Norris in the McLaren, apologies, was just as fast as Verstappen over a lap, but a lot of people believed it was the tyre wear that made him fall behind. And in the hands of Verstappen, as we know, he's able to set that steering place without too much tyre degradation. However, it might mean in the cold temperatures, which we haven't seen this year, Red Bull are vulnerable, especially over one lap. And if you remember Sergio Perez's Saturday at the Australian Grand Prix, he had a nightmare day after going off 3 times in the final practice, crashing out in Q1. Perez's actual accident was likely down to a problem with the engine, but the way he struggled in practice, it says, and Verstappen's own drivability woes that weekend suggest the combination of cold weather and the Red Bull car basically not liking it. Temperatures in Melbourne were around 16 to 20, and we haven't seen colder conditions in the dry this season. Therefore, any Red Bull weakness in the cold hasn't been fully exposed. We have no experience here. We don't know the track grip. It's all new, so maybe we'll have a few surprises, said Verstappen, who, as we know, has won 17 races this year. So, who could beat Red Bull, Sky asked? Well, Lando Norris is in the form of his life, with 4 podiums from the last 5 races, but the biggest weakness for that McLaren car is slow speed corners. This track does have them. That said, it goes on to say McLaren didn't think they'd be competitive at Brazil. We've already talked about Brazil, and they were in those slow corners. Norris has said, I don't think we were expecting to be as competitive in Brazil as we have been, so it's still surprising ourselves. He went on to say that, probably after Bahrain, I didn't want to think of where we're going to be, but it comes and goes. I think everyone expected Mercedes to be extremely strong in Brazil, and they were nowhere. Everyone expected to be Ferrari to be a bit more competitive, and they weren't. I think no one knows. Everyone just guesses and presumes. Yep, absolutely. Now, Ferrari weren't the only team to beat Red Bull this year, and I'm going to roll the dice and say they will push Verstappen for the win this weekend. Sky saying the most similar track to Las Vegas is Monza, and as we know, Sainz took pole position and held off a faster Verstappen, albeit it was a lot warmer then, and it was clear that the Ferrari had good mechanical grip, and it was really only when the tyres started going off that Sainz let Verstappen through. Now, we saw this at Singapore too, though. Sainz was able to ride on top of the curbs without any instability, which helped him on his way to fend off against Norris in the two Mercs. Leclerc is also a demon, as we know. Over one lap, he could be watched out for, and he'll be eager to basically bounce back from that disaster. But what about Mercedes, Sky asked? Well, worst weekend in Brazil, and worryingly, Mercedes were down in the speed traps at Interlagos, which does not bode well for Las Vegas. And traditionally, Mercedes fare well in cold conditions, and Hamilton is exceptional, it says on the brakes. He absolutely is. Another key area to crack in Las Vegas. And Hamilton's got the ability, it says, to brake late and his brakes hard without locking up, almost rolling the car into the corner, but still has good exit speed. The feeling is something you can't teach. The likelihood is that the actual track surface will have enough grip, and it will just be about bedding the tyres in, perhaps doing multiple warm-up laps in qualifying before your flyer. So there we go. That long article from Sky, but it's going to be really interesting, isn't it? You've got to wonder. Red Bull, as we talked about the other day, Williams could be another team that could be up there and potentially really good. Haas is very good at switching on its tyres as well. It's a lottery, you could say, a gamble in Las Vegas. I mean, quite on. But last but not least, Deadpool a la Ryan Reynolds, absolutely loving Ocon's helmet. I believe this could be the moment they met. Let's have a look here, shall we? There he is. Oh, look at that coat.
Hello, my friend.
How are you doing?
Really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to the team.
Thank you very much.
I got a cool thing for you.
Oh.
No. No. You shouldn't have, but oh, you should have. What the? Look at that. Are you wearing this in the race?
I'm wearing this in the
Come
race.
on!
Yeah.
Oh my God. When you put this on, you are going to be insufferable. I didn't bring you anything, but I do have one thing though. Here you go.
Okay.
It's from me to you.
You says daddy on it?
Yes, it says daddy, but that's just a metaphor.
So I'm wearing it.
Yes, you can wear it for the race.
Okay,
Yeah, that'd be
okay.
great. And it matches. It's pink with the.
It does, yeah, it does.
Oh, well done, Abby, for making me laugh. Ryan Reynolds, I mean, goodness me. What they've done with, obviously, the football team, can they do it with Alpine? It'll be amazing. It'll make an amazing documentary as well. But anyway, this has been the Hot Lap. The next time we'll be speaking, the cars are fired up in anger for practice 1 and practice 2. It's going to be really, really interesting to see who is fastest. And the issue is practice 1 and practice 2. We've got an idea, but there's no guarantee that'll be the case for Saturday and Sunday, albeit with the race runs, we might get a bit of an idea. Anyway, like and comment, subscribe. If you made it to the end, you're a champion. If you did any of the others, you're a champion. If you do 2 of them, you are a multiple world champion. Thank you so much for listening and watching the Hot Lap. I really appreciate it. Speak to you soon.